My pregnant wife left me for my best friend and took my kids, but I rebuilt my life with a woman who didn't ask questions. She just handed me a baby and said, "She's yours." I had nothing left when I met her. No home, no family, no reason to keep going. But that moment in a frozen parking lot changed everything. Doors slamming, people crying, accusations flying like broken glass. Turns out it can come with a cup of tea on a Tuesday night. Dana set the mug down in front of me. We'd been married 23 years, 2 sons, a decent house outside Junction City. I worked logistics for a regional food distributor, not glamorous, but steady. She handled admin at the high school. We weren't rich. We weren't broken. We were normal. At least I thought we were. She sat across from me, hands folded. "I need to tell you something," she said. And then she did. She didn't build up to it, didn't cry. "I'm in love with someone else. I've been seeing him for almost a year." She said his name like it was neutral. Jeff Kramer, our neighbor, guy who let me borrow his ladder. Coached Luke's junior varsity baseball team. Ate burgers in my backyard 3 4th of Julys in a row. My first thought wasn't anger, it was disorientation. Like someone had swapped the furniture in a room I thought I knew blindfolded. I said, "You're serious?" She nodded. "And the boys?" "They don't know everything," she said, "but Ryan's picked up on it. Luke, he's close to Jeff. He understands." "He understands?" I sat there, the steam rising from the untouched mug between us. I couldn't feel my hands. "Why now?" I asked. "Because I want a divorce," she said, "and I want to be honest about why." Honest, it hit me like a punch. Not the infidelity, but that she thought this was the honest part. That the lie had already done its work, and now she was here to clean up. I didn't say anything else that night. I packed a bag, slept in the spare room. By the weekend, I was gone. We tried to keep things civil, mediation instead of court. Fair split. 2 houses within 15 minutes. The kind of adult separation people write articles about. But no one writes about what it's like when your sons stop calling you dad and start calling him Coach Jeff. No one tells you what to do with a Father's Day card signed, "Thanks for everything you used to do." I used to think losing a marriage would be the worst part, but it wasn't. The worst part was watching the people you love the most, the ones you die for, look at someone else like he was always meant to be in your place. The first time I heard Luke call Jeff dad, it wasn't to my face. That would have been easier somehow. It was over the phone. He didn't know I was still on the line. We'd been talking about school. He was having trouble registering for a dual credit course, needed help figuring out some transcript paperwork. I was halfway through explaining what forms to request when he mumbled something and pulled the phone away. In the background, I heard him call out, "Hey Dad, do you know where that folder is?" It hit me like a nail gun to the chest. I froze. There was laughter, Jeff's voice unmistakably relaxed. "Yeah, I put it on the desk." I didn't say a word, just sat there in the driver's seat of my truck, parked outside my apartment, engine still running. Phone pressed to my ear. Luke came back on, casual. "You still there?" "Yeah," I said, voice tight. "I'm here." He didn't explain, I didn't ask. I hung up soon after, told him good luck, told him I'd email him the forms. And then I sat there for a long time, watching people walk in and out of the convenience store, wondering how a name, just one word, could carry so much weight when it was spoken by the wrong mouth. The next day, I tried to tell myself it didn't matter, that Luke had just said it by accident, that he didn't really mean it, that maybe it was easier calling Jeff Dad when he was the one physically present at the table every night. But that lie didn't last. A week later, I stopped by Dana's house. I had Royals tickets. 2 of them. Luke and I used to go every summer. It was our thing. I'd even marked the game on my calendar 3 months earlier. Kauffman Stadium, lower deck, seats near first base. I knocked. He opened the door in a hoodie, headphones around his neck. He looked surprised. Not angry, just awkward. "Oh," he said, shifting his weight. I've got plans with Dad tonight." That word again. He didn't blink, he didn't hesitate, just said it like it was nothing. Like it had always been that way. Like the years I spent driving him to every baseball practice, taping his ankles before games, helping him with late-night science projects. Like all of it was just a placeholder for the real thing. I held out the envelope with the tickets. "In case you change your mind." He took them, said thanks, closed the door. He didn't come to the game, and I went anyway, sat alone, ate both hot dogs. Tried to cheer when the Royals scored, but my throat felt like sandpaper. A few weeks later, it was Ryan's birthday. He'd been eyeing a new socket set for his auto mechanics course. I found the exact one he wanted. Spent more than I could afford, but it felt important, like something a dad would do. I wrapped it, added a card, 4 words, "Proud of you always." Dropped it at Dana's, didn't stay, didn't expect a party invitation. Just hoped he'd smile when he opened it. That night, I saw the photos on Facebook. Ryan, grinning, arm around Jeff, holding the same socket set, same brand, same box, different wrapping, no caption, no tag, no mention of me. It was like I never existed. I sat on my bed for 2 hours that night, just scrolling through old pictures on my phone. Ones with Halloween costumes, snow forts, fishing trips, Luke in my oversized sunglasses, Ryan asleep on my chest at 2 years old. I saved every photo to a backup drive, every voicemail too, because I had this growing fear that one day they might forget I was ever part of their lives. That one day I might forget. It wasn't just the kids. Mutual friends stopped reaching out. Parents at school pickup started avoiding eye contact. One even said, "I didn't know Jeff had raised your boys." Like he'd always been there. Like I was some passing uncle or second husband. The thing no one tells you is, it's not always rage that follows betrayal. Sometimes it's grief in slow motion. You don't break a coffee mug, you just stop using it. You don't scream, you stop calling. I tried to stay involved, invited Luke to lunch. Texted Ryan links to car builds we used to work on together. Got a few thumbs up emojis, nothing else. I asked Dana once, point blank, why she let them drift away from me. She shrugged. "I never told them not to see you." That was it. No guilt, no apology, just detachment. Because it was easier. Because if I was out of sight, I was out of responsibility. I wasn't mad at Jeff, not exactly. He wasn't cruel. He didn't trash talk me. He just showed up. Took the space I left behind. Drove them to school. Made pancakes. Helped with algebra. All the things I used to do. Only now it came with new furniture and a backyard fire pit. And the boys, they adjusted. Kids are adaptable like that. They accept what's present, what's consistent. And I wasn't. That's the part that haunts me most. It wasn't just that they let him in. It was that they let me go. Quietly, without a fight, without a scene, just replaced. And part of me wondered if I had done something so deeply wrong, or if life just didn't leave space for former fathers. I didn't leave Kansas right away. I stayed just long enough to become a ghost in my own life. Showed up at work. Came home to silence, paid bills, watched dust collect where pictures used to hang. Every week I told myself things would level out, that Ryan might call, that Luke would text, that maybe Dana would realize she'd made a mistake. But weeks turned to months, and the only calls I got were from spam numbers and pharmacy refill reminders. One night, I caught myself reheating a frozen dinner and staring at the wall for over an hour, fork in my hand. Steam rising. No appetite. I didn't even realize I was crying until the fork clinked against the plate. That's when I knew I had to go. I sold what was left of the house, took a severance package from the company, and headed north. No plan. Just not here. Ended up in Duluth, Minnesota. Found a cheap extended stay motel and took a temp job doing inventory at a freight yard. Didn't talk to anyone, didn't want to. The days bled into each other. My meals came from vending machines. My clothes stayed in the suitcase. I drank just enough to sleep. Then more. Then a lot more. One night, it got bad. I sat in my car with the garage closed, engine on, music playing low, an old Springsteen song. I wasn't thinking clearly, just numb. Then my phone rang. Tim. We hadn't talked in over a year. He and I used to bowl on Thursday nights. His number lit up like a lifeline. I answered, but said nothing. He didn't either, just sat on the line a full minute. And then, Nate, don't do this. I don't know how he knew. I just know he showed up 20 minutes later, knocked 3 times, and didn't leave until I opened the door. That night, I told him everything. He didn't interrupt, didn't fix, just sat there. A week later, I checked myself into a treatment center. 30 days, no alcohol, no excuses. I didn't go because I believed in healing. I went because someone still believed in me. I'd been out of treatment for 2 weeks. Found a job at a local auto parts warehouse in Duluth. Not glamorous, but steady. It kept my hands busy and my head quiet. I rented a room above a laundromat. Simple, clean, safe. I wasn't trying to meet anyone. I wasn't trying to start over. I was just trying to not slide backward. It was late October when I saw her. Cold wind, parking lot behind a strip mall. Her car was stalled, hood up, steam rising. She was maybe in her early 30s, visibly pregnant, frustrated but calm. People walked past like it wasn't their problem. I hesitated, then walked over. You need help? I asked, and she looked at me, tired but not scared. Engine won't turn over, she said. Battery, maybe? I checked the terminals, loose connection. Cleaned it with a spare rag I kept in my coat, tightened the clamp, turned the key. It started, she exhaled. You're my miracle. I smiled, first time in days. Just old hands and a lucky guess. She reached into her purse. Can I pay you? Really, I should. I shook my head. No need. Okay, she said and paused. Well, thanks, stranger. I nodded and walked off. Didn't ask her name, didn't tell her mine. Didn't leave a number, just fixed the car, and kept walking. I wasn't looking for anything that morning, just coffee, cheap, hot, and strong enough to keep me from drifting off at work. The warehouse was running lean since the holidays, and I picked up an extra shift moving pallets at the dock. The gas station on 4th and Miller was a regular stop. Reliable coffee, no questions. I was half awake, hoodie up, boots scuffed. The bell over the door dinged and I barely glanced up. Then I heard it, a voice I hadn't expected to hear again. Still fixing strangers' cars for free. I turned. Marcy. She had a wool coat half-zipped, a baby carrier looped over one arm, and a grocery bag cutting into her fingers. She looked tired, but still had that same sharp, grounded calm that stuck with me from the parking lot. I smiled. Battery still holding? Like a champ. She dropped the bag on the counter and rocked the carrier with her foot. Can't say the same for my sleep. I helped her carry the groceries to her car. Not because she asked, because something in me just moved. Maisie was in the back seat, bundled in layers of pink and yellow, cheeks flushed from the wind. She blinked up at me with startlingly blue eyes, the kind that make you pause. We stood in the parking lot, paper cups in hand, steam curling between us, just talking. Not about anything big, weather, work, what brand of formula she trusted, how her aunt's dog hated the baby monitor. She asked about my job, my place above the shop, if I'd ever gotten used to Minnesota winters. I told her Duluth still felt like a pause button, a place between who I'd been and whoever I might become. It was light, it was easy, until it wasn't. She went quiet. Then, you probably don't remember me. I gave her a look. Sure I do. The parking lot, the battery. She shook her head. Before that, I frowned, genuinely confused. She hesitated, then said, New Year's Eve, Red Moose Bar, costume party. You were dressed like a mechanic. I stared at her. Memory hit like a wave, one I hadn't seen coming. Silver wig, a feather boa, laughter, music so loud the floor vibrated. A hotel room with a broken lamp and a TV that kept muting itself. And me drunker than I'd been in years. Making out with a stranger who made me feel seen, even if just for a few blurry hours. That was you? She nodded. I left early, she said. Wasn't supposed to stay at all, but I did. And then I was pregnant. I didn't know how to find you. Didn't even remember your name. My mouth went dry. Marcy reached into the carrier and lifted Maisie gently, supporting her neck like second nature. The baby whimpered once, then settled. Marcy stepped closer and held her out to me. I think she's yours, Nate. The world stilled, not in a cinematic way, not like violin swelled or wind picked up, just still. I looked at Maisie. She didn't cry, didn't flinch, just stared at me, mouth slightly open, one hand curled like a question mark. I didn't move at first. My arms stayed locked by my sides, heart thudding against my ribs like a warning. Every rational thought screamed, get out. You don't need this. You can't do this. But then she reached out, just her hand, open, soft, unsure. And I reached back. She fit into my arms like she'd been there before. Warm, heavier than she looked. Her head lolled gently against my shoulder. Her breath was fast and damp and real. Marcy watched me. No pressure, no demands. I'm not asking you for anything, she said quietly. You don't have to be anything. I just thought you should know. We stood like that for a long time. Me, holding a child I didn't know existed. Her, watching a man she barely remembered. And the wind curling around our ankles, reminding us it was January in Minnesota. Maisie fell asleep on my chest. And in that moment, I understood something I hadn't felt since before my life fell apart. I mattered again. Not because someone needed me to fix a broken appliance. Not because someone pitied me. But because someone small and innocent had trusted me. Instinctively, completely. Marcy didn't rush me. She didn't cry. Just let it happen. Let me breathe. Later, we sat in her car, heater humming. She told me she'd thought about finding me sooner. But what would she say? Hey, remember that night you barely remember? Surprise? You're a dad? I didn't have an answer. She handed me a photo from her wallet. Maisie at 2 months. Same eyes, same smirk I saw in my own mirror when I was younger and less afraid. You don't have to do anything, she repeated. But I knew I would. I didn't sleep much that night. I just kept replaying it. The baby in my arms. The way she settled like she belonged, like she recognized something in me. The next day, I called Marcy. Can I see her again? She said yes. I started stopping by, first once a week, then twice. I'd bring groceries, fix stuff around her apartment, change diapers while she showered. Maisie started smiling when I walked in. Started fussing when I left, One afternoon, I was feeding her mashed carrots. She reached out, grabbed my shirt collar, and garbled out, "Da da." Marcy froze. I looked at her. She looked at me. Maisie giggled like it was a joke only she understood. I didn't correct her, because deep down, I wanted that to be true. Not just biologically, but fully. She didn't care about the past. She didn't care who left whom or why my sons didn't call anymore. She only cared that I was there. And I was. I didn't move in right away, but I never really left either. At first, I just helped where I could. Diapers, groceries, fixed the wobbly kitchen cabinet, took over night feedings when Marcy looked like she hadn't slept in 3 days. Then one morning, I woke up on her couch, Maisie snuggled into my chest, drooling onto my flannel. Marcy was in the doorway with a cup of coffee. She didn't say a word, just nodded. I moved in that week. It wasn't perfect. We weren't together in the traditional sense, but we were trying. There was no ceremony, no speeches, just routines. Dishes, bottles, laundry, baby wipes. And one day, as I buckled her into the car seat, Maisie reached out, patted my face with her little hand, and mumbled, "Dada." I froze, looked at Marcy. She'd heard it too. Maisie giggled, then kicked her feet like she'd said something brilliant. And maybe she had. I sat in the driver's seat, afterward holding the steering wheel with both hands. Not because I was afraid, but because I hadn't felt that kind of weight in years. The good kind. The kind that says you matter again. It started with a message from Ryan, just one line. "I heard you're in Duluth. Can we talk?" I stared at it for a long time. We met at a diner off the highway. No hugs, just coffee and guarded eyes. He looked older, broader in the shoulders, but his voice still had that edge of curiosity I remembered from when he was 10 and asked how engines worked. He didn't bring up the divorce or Dana or Jeff. He just asked, "So, who's the baby in the photos?" I told him the truth about Marcy, about the parking lot, about Maisie. He didn't laugh, he didn't judge, he just listened. Then he said, "She's lucky." 2 weeks later, Luke showed up on my porch. No text, no warning. Maisie was in my arms, covered in mashed banana. Luke looked at her, then at me. "She yours?" "Yeah," I said, and he nodded, swallowed hard. "I don't know what I'm supposed to feel." "Me neither." He looked down. "I said some cruel things. I didn't mean all of them." I didn't say, "It's okay," because it wasn't. But I said, "Thanks for saying that." We stood in silence, then Maisie sneezed on my shirt. Luke laughed just once, then asked, "Can I hold her?" I passed her over, and just like that, we started again. We bought a small house on the edge of town. Nothing fancy. 2 bedrooms, creaky porch, a yard full of dandelions. Marcy works remote now, shipping coordinator for a trucking company. I reopened a tiny engine repair shed out back. Most days I fix lawnmowers and snowblowers. People drop them off with a 20 and a thank you pie. Maisie's 2 now. Talks too much, laughs too loud. She loves waffles and dogs and running full speed into my legs. She calls me daddy, like she never knew to question it. Ryan visits once a month, helps me with books, asks for advice I never thought he'd want. Luke came last Thanksgiving, sat at the table, passed mashed potatoes, said grace like nothing was broken anymore. And Dana, we don't speak, not out of hatred, just distance and peace. Tonight we sat on the porch, me, Marcy, Maisie curled up in a blanket on my lap, Ryan on the steps, Luke playing guitar. Marcy leaned into my shoulder, tired, warm, quiet. The sun was low. The breeze smelled like grass and charcoal. Someone down the street lit sparklers for no reason. I looked around. This wasn't the life I planned. Wasn't the story I thought I'd tell. But it was real. And it was mine. I lost the home I built once. I lost the sons I thought I'd raised. I lost the woman I trusted most. But somehow, I found something better. Not perfect, but ours.